Hey there, wanted to share with you a free resource on making Apollonian spheres. And right off the bat, I am going to share this site. So if you're interested in the algorithms and that sort of stuff, this site is a really good resource for the math and some of that. It's got a lot that you can check out. Anyway, back to the tool. First thing you'll notice is you might see like, hey, it looks like there's an error. It is an error, but it's really not. Because I wrote this in Python, this node just needs to be refreshed is all it is. So I'm gonna select this node, and I could either do the eyeball or with the node selected, I could just hit R for render on the keyboard, and that's just gonna refresh it. If for some reason that doesn't, you can just come down here and just refresh the steps. And so here you can see this is the recursive uh, algorithm on full display here. I think I had it at 8, but you could continue to push that up and get some really interesting effects. But here you can already see we've got this 3D point cloud, and from here it's just general Houdini stuff. And so here's like an art example. I'm just going to jump over to this side of things for a moment. I'm going to click R on this color node. So here you can see kind of a result of that. And so we're getting these recursive spheres. We do have these Vex nodes. I do want to point this out. The two things that you want to concern yourself with is the min range and the max range. So if you put this to 0, there's actually a giant sphere that just kind of swallows everything up. Everything's still there. It's just that this sphere is covering it all up. So I put this min range in there, so we can put a small number in there, and that'll get rid of just that big circle. If you want to dial that up, though, you can totally do that, and you can see some of the effects that's having. You can also play with this max range, so I'm just gonna bring that down a little bit, and you can see kind of what that's doing too. It's just deleting some of those bigger spheres. Um, Maybe we want that at like 0.8 or whatever. You can play with this and just dial it in, and it just gets rid of some of the bigger spheres as you get lower and lower. But anyway, I'm gonna leave that at 1 for now, so that has everything. We also have this delete node in here, and so this delete node is just deleting by a bounding volume. And so here you can just play with some different things. You can see kind of what that's doing, so you can get some cross-sectional looks. And again, you can play with all sorts of stuff. I'm just feeding a sphere since this is an Apollonian gasket. That makes sense, but you can plug anything into this. And so I did a platonic with a wireframe, and so or a polywire. So we could plug other things in there. We could put polywires on stuff, and we could just get other interesting designs and whatnot. So this is just an example over here. If we come over here to this section, this wrangle node is the same wrangle node as that. So the workflow is essentially the same. It's just we're doing it 3 times. So here you can see, like here, I'm just keeping those spheres. In this instance, let that cook out. You can see we're just keeping those spheres. And then here I could have done that with the wrangle, but I just blasted just that one point, which is that giant sphere, but I did everything but that. So here is just the giant sphere. So if you want to dive through some of this art, this is just an example. You could do a bunch of different things, but it is a bit of a heavy cook, what I've got here. So I just went ahead and froze the results of that. So if we just come down here, you can see like an example of what you could make. And so, yeah, you'll see like these Apollonian gasket designs and all sorts of shows and stuff like that, where they're taking this and pushing it and creating some interesting looking environments. For instance, if you've watched Arcane on Netflix, you might have noticed some of those environments, or they have some things like this, which is Apollonian gaskets and that sort of stuff. So you can do all sorts of really interesting stuff. This is just an example, and here you can see this art example is taking advantage of negative space, but this is like, not negative space. This is essentially what you're getting with the spheres, but you can use the spheres to Boolean things out or whatever. But yeah, so that's oops, that's just an example of a 3D application. And yeah, play around with it, try different things, come up with different styles and so forth. On this side of things, we have a 2D application, which you can do some cool stuff with that too. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and turn on that blast node, and right away you'll notice that error again, but it's because I did this in Python. If I get some time, I'll try to switch that over to Vex, but all we really need to do is just turn on the Python node and let that recook. It's not refreshing, so what I'm just going to do is scroll all the way down. Oops. And I'm just going to go to this max level, and I'm just going to change it to something like 10, and that'll refresh it. We could put that back to 11, and we can put it back down to 9 or 8, and you can see the effects that that's having. So it's just kind of filling that out more and more with some of the point cloud. We do have, I'm going to put that up to like 10. We do have this too, so if we change this number, you can see that I probably should put a limit so that doesn't go above 1, but just know you want to keep that below 1. But you can see essentially what's happening here is you can kind of play with this design and layout. You can get some really interesting stuff too. So if you get this really small, you can actually straighten this out, and it's basically really straight. And you can get some really interesting designs this way too. So yeah, just play with it. Just have some fun with it and come up with some different layouts and so forth. And I forgot what that number was. That maybe 0.5. All right, cool. I'm going to put that back up to 11. You can crank it up to 12, 13, 14, whatever. You can play with that. But yeah, here if we go to this blast node and turn that on, you'll see like that's not airing anymore. It's just that Python node needs to be refreshed. And again, this art section is just an example. So here I put a polywire on things just so you can kind of get a visual of what's happening. And then just here I did just some like points, and then just copied that polywire layout to that, and then transformed it, and there. So you can get different things like this too. So just taking that 2D layout and kind of doing some 3D stuff with it, you can get some interesting looks. And so yeah, this is the file. I'm gonna give you this resource and then also the to this website to check out. So I definitely encourage you to check this out. This has some great information on the math and just some fun stuff. There's a poem in here, so you could check that out too. Yep, right there, there's the poem. So there's a whole thing with the Apollonian gasket, so you could play with this and read up on it and that sort of stuff too. It's a great resource for learning how to do some of this stuff over in Houdini. All right, well, anyways, I hope this has been helpful and is giving you guys some fun ideas of what you could try. Absolutely hit me up if you do something really interesting that I'd love to see what you guys come up with.